This video is a sample from the Secret Guitar Teacher Interactive course, The 5 Main Elements of Music. The 5 main elements of music. Element number 2, scales. Section 2.6, Understanding the Major Scale. Part 9, Using the Major Scale as a Yardstick. Now we know how to create and play major scales, and have gained some insight into how the major scale relates to the structure of key signatures, we can begin to look at some of its practical uses. To complete this section of the course, we're going to explain a little more about how the major scale is used as a yardstick to define other elements of music. Thinking in intervals. The basic way that experienced musicians think of how notes relate to each other is numeric. For example, if I want to remember how to play the first phrase of the tune, "Oh, when the saints go marching in," I could think of it as the notes C, E, F, G. That's not too much of a problem all the time I'm playing in the key of C major, but if someone asked me to play it in A flat major, I would have to recalibrate it in my head to A flat, C, D flat, E flat. If instead I remember the phrase numerically as notes 1, 3, 4, 5 from the major scale, I have a universal way of thinking about the phrase that will work for me regardless of the key. The note names change as we alter the key from C to A flat, to F, to E, but the numeric description of the phrase remains constant. 1, 3, 4, 5. This is reflected in the fingering patterns for this phrase on the guitar fretboard. The same pattern could be used no matter where on the fretboard the phrase is played. And no matter which key it is played in. Scale formulas. This way of thinking in intervals on the major scale prepares us to understand the formulas that are used to define other scales. Typically, other scales are defined in terms of how they differ from the major scale. Take, for example, the formula for the natural minor scale. Flat 3, flat 6, flat 7. This is a shorthand instruction that says take the notes of the major scale and lower the 3rd, 6th and 7th each by a semitone. This would normally be shown by placing the 3 flat symbols in the key signature like this. This type of scale formula is fine when scales have the same number of notes as the major scale, but sometimes scales can have more or less than 7 notes. For example, we can't really use this shorthand approach to define the blues scales, which have 6 notes. So we are forced to be a little more long-winded. To define the minor blues scale, we would specify all 6 notes of the scale in terms of how they relate to the major scale based on the same keynote. So the formula for the minor blues scale is 1 flat 3, 4 flat 5, 5 flat 7. This formula effectively says take a major scale, leave out notes 2 and 6, lower notes 3 and 7 by a semitone, and add in an extra fifth note lowered by a semitone. 1 flat 3, 4 flat 5, 5 flat 7. Let's apply the formula to the key of E by way of an example. Notice that I have used the natural sign to take the G sharp note down a semitone to G natural, and the D sharp down to D natural. And the flat sign is used to lower the B natural down to B flat. The F sharp and C sharp notes are simply omitted. In practice, we are more likely to present this scale without a key signature because, as you can see, this makes it a lot easier to read. So that is just a quick glimpse of a couple of ways that the major scale is used as a yardstick to help us define other scales. In later lessons on this course, we will be using this process several times over with each element we discuss. So you will have plenty of time to get used to this idea in practice. In the next element of the course, we'll look at how the major scale yardstick helps us make sense of all those weird chord symbols. Once you've learned to use this powerful tool, you'll be pleasantly surprised at how simple they are to understand. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you'd really like to maximise your potential as a guitar player, click on the link in the description below to the Secret Guitar Teacher site. Here you can sign up for a 30-day trial free of charge and without obligation. We won't even ask you for your credit card number.